Kim Day stepped off his sleek silver spacecraft onto the red dirt of Terra 5, his expensive black suit already collecting dust from the alien world's atmosphere. The CEO of Stellar Corporation had traveled 3 weeks through hyperspace to reach this remote farming colony, and his mood was darker than the storm clouds gathering on the horizon. The massive terraforming machine that dominated the center of the settlement stood completely silent. This wasn't just any machine. It was a towering structure the size of a city block, covered in pulsing blue conduits and spinning crystalline components that hummed with alien energy when working prop. Early, without it, the artificial atmosphere would collapse within days, and all 2,000 colonists would suffocate. 12 billion credits, Kim Day muttered under his breath, staring at the dormant machine. 12 billion credits of the most advanced Vorthan technology in the galaxy, and it's dead as a rock. Park Jin, the colony's nervous supervisor, hurried overwiping sweat from his forehead. His maintenance uniform was stained with hydraulic fluid and alien lubricants from his failed attempts to restart the terraformer. "Sir, we've tried everything," Park Jin said, his voice shaking. "Our engineers worked for 72 hours straight. We even contacted the Vorthan technicians on Kepler Station, but their next available service team won't arrive for 6 months. The machine's bioneural networks have completely shut down. It's like the entire system went into some kind of coma." Kim Day's jaw tightened. 6 months meant death for everyone on Terra 5. The atmospheric processes were already showing dangerous readings, oxygen levels dropping, carbon dioxide building up, and the protective electromagnetic field weakening by the hour. "What about emergency evacuation?" Kim Day asked, though he already knew the answer. "Not possible, sir. We'd need 40 transport ships to move everyone. And the nearest rescue fleet is 8 weeks away. Even if we started evacuating now." Park Jin's voice trailed off. Kim Day kicked at the red dirt in frustration. This colony represented Stellar Corporation's biggest investment in the Outer Rim. If it failed, his company would face bankruptcy, and he'd lose everything he'd built over 20 years. That's when Park Jin pointed across the agricultural fields toward a figure working among the crops. "There is one possibility, sir, but you won't like it." In the distance, a young black man was harvesting strange purple vegetables that grew in the alien soil. He moved with steady rhythm, filling container after container with the colony's food supply. His clothes were simple: farm gear, worn pants, a faded shirt, and boots caked with mud. "That's Alex," Park Jin explained. "He's just Sam's son. You know, the old farmer who runs the agricultural sector. But, sir, I've seen that boy do things with alien technology that our trained engineers can't even understand. Last month, when the hydroponic systems crashed, he had them running better than new into ours, used some kind of technique that wasn't in any manual." Kim Day squinted at the young farmer. "You're telling me that a farm boy knows more about billion-credit Vorthan technology than my certified engineers. I know how it sounds, sir, but the kid has a gift when he works on alien tech. It's like he's speaking the same language as the machines. I've never seen anything like it." Kim Day felt his corporate pride burning. The idea that some uneducated colonist could succeed where his experts had failed was insulting. But as he looked back at the silent terraforming machine and thought about 2,000 lives hanging in the balance, his options were clear. "This is ridiculous," he growled, but started walking toward the fields anyway. Alex was focused on his work when Kim Day's shadow fell across him. The young man looked up calmly, his dark eyes showing no surprise at seeing the most powerful CEO in the sector standing in a vegetable field. Dirt covered his hands and streaked his face, but there was something oddly confident in his expression. You, Kim Day barked, pointing back toward the massive terraforming machine. That thing is broken and my people are going to die if it doesn't start working. I'm told you might know something about alien technology. Alex stood slowly, wiping his hands on his pants. He glanced at the silent machine, its crystalline components dark and lifeless against the alien sky. The terraformer's bioneural matrix has entered protective hibernation mode, Alex said quietly. It detected a quantum resonance imbalance in the atmospheric processing core. Standard restart procedures won't work because of Vorthan safety. Protocols require a specific harmonic sequence to reactivate the consciousness matrix. Kim Day's mouth fell open. This farm boy was using technical terms that even his top engineers barely understood. Can you fix it? Kim Day demanded. Alex looked up from his work, dirt still coating his hands, and simply nodded with the quiet confidence of someone who had never doubted his abilities. Alex walked toward the massive terraforming machine with the same calm confidence he'd shown in the fields. Kim Day followed behind him, still skeptical but desperate enough to watch this farm boy attempt what his billion-credit engineers couldn't accomplish. The machine towered above them like a mechanical mountain. Its surface was covered in thousands of alien symbols that shifted and changed like living text. Crystalline conduits ran along its sides, dark and lifeless now, but designed to pulse with energy that could transform an entire planet's atmosphere. At its base, control panels covered in Vorthan script waited silently for someone who could understand their ancient language. Alex placed his palm on the central interface panel. Immediately, the dead symbols began to glow with soft blue light. Kim Day took a step back in shock. None of his engineers had been able to even activate the basic display functions. Kethmedel Vorthan. Alex spoke in a flowing, musical language that sounded nothing like human speech. Silmar Kethnalamor. The machine responded instantly. Waves of light cascaded up its massive frame as dormant systems began awakening. The crystalline conduits started pulsing with gentle energy, and a deep harmonic vibration filled the air. The sound of alien technology coming back to life. Parkjin, who had been watching from a safe distance, came running over with his scanner, beeping frantically. Sir, the bioneural networks are responding. Whatever he just said. The machine is listening, but Alex wasn't finished. He moved to another panel and began speaking in a completely different alien language, harsh, clicking sounds that hurt. Kim Day's ears, Zikter Mangoth, Nolta Zekman. This time, the machine's response was dramatic. Hidden compartments opened along its surface, revealing backup systems that even Stellar Corporation's blueprints didn't show existed. Robotic maintenance drones, no bigger than a human hand, emerged from these compartments and began conducting repairs on components that the human engineers hadn't even known were damaged. Those Azalani repair drones, Kim Day whispered in amazement. But the Zalani went extinct 3,000 years ago. How does this machine even have their technology? Alex continued his work, switching between languages as easily as changing tools. He spoke to different parts of the machine in their native tongues, ancient Vorthan for the atmospheric processes, clicking Zalani for the maintenance systems, and flowing Catherian for the energy distribution networks. Each section responded as if greeting an old friend. The young farmer's hands moved across control surfaces that looked completely alien to human eyes. Where Kim Day's engineers saw random symbols and incomprehensible displays, Alex saw clear instructions and familiar patterns. He adjusted quantum resonance frequencies, recalibrated bioneural pathways, and optimized energy flow patterns with movements so practiced they seemed like second nature. 3 hours into the repair process, the massive machine finally roared back to life. The sound was incredible, like thunder mixed with music, as if the machine was singing its joy at being awakened. The crystalline conduits blazed with brilliant energy, and the atmospheric processors began their work of transforming the planets. Erdot Parkjin checked his readings and nearly dropped his scanner. Oxygen production is back to normal levels. Carbon dioxide filtration is operational. The electromagnetic field is stabilizing. But Alex didn't stop working. Kim Dae watched in growing amazement as the young man continued making adjustments, speaking to the machine in those strange alien languages, coaxing it to perform beyond its original design specifications. The atmospheric readings on Park Jin's scanner began climbing rapidly. "Sir, this is impossible. Oxygen production is now at 150% of normal capacity. The filtration systems are running at 200% efficiency. The machine is performing better than when it was brand new." Kim Dae stared at the displays showing atmospheric composition, energy levels, and system performance. Every single measurement was climbing far beyond what Stellar Corporation's engineers had thought possible. The machine wasn't just fixed, it was transformed. The harmonic resonance between the bioneural networks and the quantum processing cores was completely out of phase, Alex explained as he worked, not even looking up from the controls. "Your engineers were trying to force a restart using standard protocols, but this machine incorporates hybrid technology from 7 different extinct civilizations. Each system needs to be awakened in the correct sequence using its native command language." He touched another panel and spoke in yet another alien tongue, this one sounding like whispered wind. Immediately, backup atmospheric processes that had been dormant for decades came online, adding even more power to the terraforming system. By the end of the day, the machine was operating at 3 times its original efficiency. The air on Terra 5 was cleaner and richer than it had ever been. Energy consumption had actually decreased while output had tripled. The entire colony was bathed in the healthy glow of perfectly processed atmosphere. Kim Dae stood there speechless, watching this farm boy accomplish the impossible. Finally, he found his voice. How do you know this?" Kim Dae stammered, his corporate arrogance completely shattered. "My engineers spent years studying Vorthan technology. They have advanced degrees and decades of experience, but you just spoke to this machine like you built it yourself." Alex finally stepped back from the controls, wiping his dirt-stained hands clean on a rag. The massive machine hummed contentedly behind him, its alien systems working in perfect harmony. "My father taught me," Alex said simply, as if that explained everything. "Your father?" Kim Dae demanded, his voice sharp with disbelief. What farmer could possibly teach someone to speak 7 extinct alien languages and repair technology that costs more than entire star systems? Alex hesitated for a long moment, looking out across the fields where other colonists were now celebrating as clean, oxygen-rich air filled their lungs for the first time in weeks. The massive terraforming machine hummed peacefully behind them, its crystalline components pulsing with steady light like a mechanical heartbeat. "Lee Sam," Alex finally said, then looked directly into Kim Dae's eyes. "But you knew him as Dr. Samueli, the xenotechnology specialist who vanished 20 years ago during the Kepler station incident." Kim Dae's face went completely white. He stumbled backward as if Alex had physically struck him. That's impossible. Dr. Samueli is dead. He died when the experimental gate exploded. The entire research station was destroyed." "No," Alex said quietly. "He survived, barely, and he's been here on Terra 5 ever since, living as a simple farmer and teaching me everything he learned about alien technology." Kim Dae's mind raced back 20 years to when he was just a junior executive at Stellar Corporation. Dr. Samuel had been humanity's greatest genius, the first human to successfully decode Vorthen. Technology, the man who made contact with 12 different alien species, the scientist who unlocked the secrets that allowed humans to travel between stars. Dr. Lee was working on something classified. Kim Day whispered, memories flooding back. Project Harmony. The military wanted to weaponize alien technology, but he refused. Then there was an explosion at Kebler Station, and everyone assumed. He faked his death, Alex confirmed. The explosion was real, but my father escaped in a salvaged Zolani scout ship. He told me the government and corporations like yours were more interested in making weapons than understanding the beauty of alien cultures. So he disappeared. Kim Day looked round the agricultural settlement with no eyes. This wasn't just a farming colony. It was a hiding place for humanity's most brilliant mind. He's been here the whole time. Growing vegetables. Alex smiled slightly. My father says the best way to understand life is to help it grow. He spent 20 years, not just farming crops, but studying the way different alien technologies work together in harmony. That's why I could fix your terraformer. It's not just Vorthen technology. It contains components from 7 extinct civilizations, all working as one system. But how did you learn all those languages? Kim Day asked, still struggling to accept what he was hearing. My father didn't just study alien machines, Alex explained. He communicated with the few surviving members of those extinct species. There's a hidden network of aliens living throughout the galaxy. Refugees, survivors, keepers of ancient knowledge. They've been watching humanity, waiting to see if we're ready for the deeper secrets of the universe. Kim Day's corporate mind immediately jumped to the possibilities. These aliens, do they have more advanced technology? Could we make contact with them? The profit potential. Alex's expression hardened. That's exactly why my father went into hiding. You're already thinking about how to exploit them, aren't you? Before Kim Day could respond, a low harmonic sound filled the air. It wasn't coming from the terraforming machine. This was something else entirely. Both men looked up to see 3 sleek spacecraft descending from the clouds. They were unlike any human vessels Kim Day had ever seen, with flowing organic curves and surfaces that seemed to shift color like liquid metal. Cytherian ships, Alex said calmly. As if alien visitors were perfectly normal. They've been monitoring the terraformer signals. When I optimized the machine, it sent out harmonic frequencies that caught their attention. The 3 alien ships landed gracefully in the fields. Their landing didn't even disturb the crops at all. Graceful beings emerged, humanoid but clearly alien, with silver skin that reflected light like mirrors and large eyes that seemed to hold ancient wisdom. One of the Cytherians approached Alex and spoke in that flowing, musical language Kim Day had heard earlier. Alex responded fluently, and Kim Day watched in amazement as they conversed like old friends. What are they saying? Kim Day whispered. They're congratulating me on successfully awakening the terraformer's full potential, Alex. Translated, this machine wasn't just designed to process atmosphere. It's a test. The extinct civilizations who built it wanted to see if humanity could learn to work with alien technology instead of just using it. The lead Cytherian turned toward Kim Day and spoke again. Alex listened, then looked troubled. They say they've been watching your corporation, Mr. Kim. They know about your weapons development programs, your plans to militarize alien technology. They're concerned. Kim Day felt sweat beading on his forehead. These weren't just random aliens. They were representatives of civilizations far more advanced than humanity, and they'd been watching everything humans did with their technology. My father spent 20 years preparing for this moment, Alex continued. He knew that one day, humanity would have to choose between conquest and cooperation. The alien species are waiting to see which path we'll take. Kimday looked at the Kithirian beings, their ancient eyes studying him with intelligence that made him feel like a child. Then he looked at Alex, the farmer's son who spoke 7 alien languages and commanded Technology B. And human understanding. Your father, Kimday said slowly. He's not just a farmer. Is he? No. Alex replied. He's humanity's ambassador to the galaxy, and he's been training me to take his place. 3 days after the Kithirian ships departed, Alex discovered something that chilled him to the bone. The terraforming machine's enhanced performance had done more than just improve Terra 5's atmosphere. It had awakened something that had been sleeping deep beneath the place. Annette's surface for thousands of years. Alex was running his daily diagnostics on the terraformer when strange readings appeared on his scanner. Energy signatures were emanating from 2 kilometers underground, pulsing in patterns that seemed almost like a heartbeat. But these weren't natural geological formations. They were artificial, ancient, and incredibly powerful. Kimday, you need to see this. Alex called out as the CEO approached from the colony's main building. Alex led him to a hidden access panel on the terraformer that most people would never notice. When he placed his hand on it and spoke a few words in ancient precursor language, the panel slid open to reveal a crystal display showing a 3-dimensional map of the planet's subsurface. What am I looking at? Kimday asked, staring at the swirling patterns of light. Precursor technology, Alex said grimly. The terraformer wasn't just built to process atmosphere. It was designed as a key to unlock an ancient communication network that spans the entire galaxy. When I optimized the machine, I accidentally activated systems that have been dormant for 10,000 years. The display showed streams of energy flowing from Terra 5 to dozens of other points across the galaxy, each connection pulsed with increasing intensity. Like a vast nervous system suddenly coming to life. Communication network, Kimday repeated. You mean we're talking to other planets? We're not talking, Alex said, his voice filled with worry. We're broadcasting. Every time the terraformer cycles, it sends out signals that announce our location to every species in the galaxy, including the ones we don't want to find us, as if responding to his words. The display suddenly flashed red. New signals were appearing on the galactic map, dozens of them, moving steadily toward their sector of space. But these signals were different from the stationary precursor beacons. These were moving fast, consuming everything in their path. Alex's hands flew over the alien controls, translating the incoming data. What he saw made his blood run cold. The Devourers, he whispered. Kimday had never heard the term before, but something about the way Alex said it made him step closer to the display. What are Devourers? They are not really a species, Alex explained, his fingers still working frantically on the controls. They're more like a force of nature. Billions of years ago, they were created by a dying civilization as the ultimate weapon. Living ships that could consume planets, stars, entire solar systems, and convert the matter into more of themselves. The display showed the approaching signals in terrifying detail. Massive biomechanical entities, each one the size of Earth's moon, moving through space like hungry predators. Where they passed, star systems simply vanished, their matter absorbed and transformed into more Devour ships. How long do we have? Kimday asked. Though he wasn't sure, he wanted to know the answer. Alex studied the readings, calculating distances and travel times. At their current speed, they'll reach human space in 4 months. Earth will be their first target. They always go for the most populated worlds first. Kimday felt his legs go weak. For months, that's not enough time to evacuate even a single city, let alone entire planets. Evacuation won't help, Alex said darkly. The Devourers don't just destroy worlds. They hunt down fleeing ships and consume them too. Once they lock onto a species, they don't stop until every last member is gone. The young farmer stood up from the controls and looked directly at Kimday. My father spent the last 20 years preparing for this moment. He knew that eventually, someone would accidentally reactivate the precursor network and alert the Devourers to humanity's location. Your father knew this would happen, Kimday demanded. Alex nodded. The Galactic Council has been secretly preparing for the Devourer's return for centuries. Every advanced species in the galaxy has contributed technology and knowledge to develop countermeasures. But they've never been able to create anything powerful enough to stop them. He turned back to the display, where the Devourer signals continued their relentless approach toward human space. However, there might be one chance. Human technology has something that no other species possesses: unpredictability. We build things differently, think differently, solve problems in ways that aliens never consider. Kimday stared at the approaching doom displayed on the ancient screen. You're saying our primitive technology could stop something that advanced alien civilizations can't handle? Not stop, Alex corrected, transform. My father discovered that human engineering, when combined with alien knowledge, creates hybrid systems that are completely unprecedented. The terraformer is proof. It's now operating at efficiency levels that the original Vorthan designers thought impossible. Alex pulled up another display showing technical specifications that made Kimday's head spin. The Devourers expect to face conventional weapons and defenses. They've encountered and consumed thousands of species over billions of years. But they've never faced anything like human ingenuity merged with galactic technology. What do you need? Kimday asked, his corporate instincts finally kicking in. Resources, personnel, funding. I need something more valuable than money, Alex replied. I need you to contact every human colony, every corporation, every government. We're going to turn Earth's entire industrial capacity into the galaxy's last hope. But we'll have to work together. Humans and aliens, corporations and governments, military and civilian. Kimday looked once more at the approaching Devourer signals. Then at Alex, the farmer's son who held humanity's fate in his hands. Tell me what to do, he said. Alex smiled grimly. We're going to teach the galaxy that humans don't just survive. We adapt, we innovate, and we never give up. The Devourers were coming, but humanity was ready to show them something they'd never seen before. 3 months had passed since the discovery of the approaching Devourer fleet, and Earth had transformed into something the galaxy had never seen before. In the command center orbiting above the planet, Alex stood before a massive holographic display showing the positions of both human and alien ships preparing for the greatest battle in Galactic. See history. The command center itself was a marvel of hybrid technology, human engineering combined with alien knowledge to create something entirely new. Floating platforms held control stations where human operators worked alongside Cytherian advisors, Vorthan engineers, and survivors from a dozen extinct civilizations who had emerged from hiding to help humanity. Prepare. Alex wore his simple farm clothes even here, refusing the military uniform that Kimday had offered him. Round his neck hung a small crystal pendant, a gift from his father containing compressed knowledge from every alien species they had contacted over the past 20 years. Devourer ships detected at the edge of the solar system, announced Yun Hai, the lead tactical officer. 73 vessels, each one the size of Earth's moon. They're moving in formation toward Earth. Through the command center's transparent walls, Alex could see the defensive grid that humanity had built. It didn't look like anything in galactic military history. Instead of traditional battleships and space stations, Earth was surrounded by thousands of small, agile craft that moved like schools of fish through space. Each ship was unique, built by different human corporations and colonies, but all connected through a network that allowed them to think and act as one. Remember, Alex spoke into his communicator, addressing the pilots of the defense fleet. Don't fight like the galaxy expects you to fight. The Devourers have consumed species that followed conventional military tactics for billions of years. Show them something they've never seen. The first wave of Devourer ships entered Earth's outer defense perimeter, their massive biomechanical forms pulsing with dark energy. They looked like living creatures crossed with warships, tentacles that could extend for kilometers, mouths that could swallow entire asteroids, and weapons that fired concentrated darkness itself. But instead of meeting them head-on with massive firepower, humanity's fleet did something unprecedented. The small human ships began swarming round the Devourers like insects, too fast and unpredictable for the ancient weapons to target effectively. Now, Alex commanded. Each human ship unleashed its secret weapon, not energy blasts or missiles, but clouds of nanobots programmed with hybrid human-alien technology. When these nanobots touched the Devourer ships, they didn't try to destroy them. Instead, they began rewriting the biomechanical creatures' programming, using techniques that Alex's father had developed by studying how human immune systems fight off infections. Impossible, breathed Park-Jin, who was monitoring the battle. From a nearby station, the nanobots are actually turning the Devourer's own consumption ability against them, then eating themselves. 3 of the massive Devourer ships began convulsing as the nanobots spread through their systems. Instead of consuming matter to grow stronger, they started breaking down their own biomechanical components. Within minutes, the first Devourer ship collapsed into space dust. But the remaining Devourers adapted quickly, as they had learned to do over billions of years. They changed their biosignatures to resist the nanobots and launched a devastating counterattack. Beams of pure darkness swept across space, destroying dozens of human ships in seconds. They're learning our tactics, Yunhai reported. We need a new strategy. Alex closed his eyes and touched the crystal pendant, accessing the collective knowledge of every alien species that had ever faced the Devourers. Then he smiled, because he realized something that no other species had ever tried. All ships, execute pattern Delta 7, he commanded. The human fleet suddenly broke apart, with each ship flying in seemingly random directions. To the Devourers, it looked like the human defense was collapsing in panic. The biomechanical predators surged forward, confident in their victory. But Alex had learned something from watching his father farm for 20 years. Sometimes the best way to defeat a predator is to make it think it's already won. As the Devourers spread out to pursue the fleeing human ships, they fell into a trap that no military academy had ever taught. The retreating ships led them directly into Earth's gravitational field, where thousands of hidden defense platforms suddenly activated. These platforms weren't weapons. They were gravity manipulators based on precursor technology that Alex had modified with human engineering principles. Instead of trying to destroy the Devourers, they grabbed the massive ships and began spinning them like a washing machine. The Devourers, designed to move through space in straight lines while consuming everything in their path, couldn't handle the chaotic spinning motion. Their biomechanical systems, evolved over billions of years for efficient consumption, began breaking down under the unnatural gravitational stress. It's working, Kim Tae shouted from his observation post. They can't maintain their formation. But Alex wasn't finished. As the Devourer fleet spun helplessly in Earth's gravity wells, he activated the final phase of humanity's defense, something so uniquely human that no alien species had ever conceived of it. "All civilian vessels, begin broadcast," Alex ordered. Suddenly, every human ship, space station, and orbital platform began transmitting the same thing: human music, art, literature, and culture, not as a weapon, but as a gift. The transmissions flooded the Devourer's sensory systems with concepts they had never encountered in billions of years of existence: creativity, love, hope, and the stubborn human refusal to give up. The effect was immediate and shocking. The Devourer ships stopped attacking and began floating motionless in space, their biomechanical systems trying to process information that was completely alien to their programming. For the first time in their billion-year existence, the Devourers encountered something they couldn't consume: the human spirit. One by one, the massive ships began withdrawing from Earth's solar system, not in defeat, but in something like confusion. They had come expecting to find another species to devour, but instead found something that challenged their very understanding of existence. As the last Devourer ship disappeared into hyperspace, the command center erupted in celebration. Representatives from dozens of alien species, who had been watching the battle from across the galaxy, began transmitting messages of amazement and gratitude. Kim Day found Alex standing quietly by the observation window, still wearing his symbol. Farm clothes despite having just commanded the greatest military victory in galactic history. The farmer's son, Kim Day said with deep respect, became humanity's greatest champion. Alex smiled, thinking of his father working in the fields of Terra 5. "My father always said that the best solutions come from the simplest places." The Devourers spent billions of years learning how to consume and destroy, but they never learned how to create, how to grow, how to hope. That's what makes us human. The end.